I have an iPhone and I take it with me everywhere I go. In the car, when I'm alone, when I'm with my friends, while I'm at school, and while I'm working. And it even lays in bed beside me while I'm asleep. And somehow my society has convinced me that I need it constantly. It depletes my creativity and I use it as a crutch for boredom. For the past few months, this has really bothered me. Like, when was the last time I went without it for a day? Like, why do we need them so badly? I guess we feel like we need communication, but they didn't have that kind of access in the early 2000s and all of history before that. So how did they manage? Other than that, the only thing I think we need it for is entertainment, and I think that's horrible. One day, I had had enough, and I finally had a revelation. I was going on vacation the next day, and I didn't need my phone. I would be with someone at all times, so that would take care of communication. Now for entertainment. If I was going to be away from my phone for a whole vacation, I'd need to bring a couple things with me. So naturally, I brought my camera. I've been trying to read the Hunger Games for a few months up until that point. I figured this would be a good opportunity to get that done. I decided to bring a notebook because if I was going to be away from my phone for 9 days, I'd want to write down how it affected me. And my Nintendo Switch. And my laptop. After all, this is a challenge to be away from my phone, not technology entirely. Maybe that's a video for another day. Oh yeah, and naturally, my desire to take cool photos. I wondered how I would react without my phone. I assumed I would check my pockets a lot, or at least wish that I had it with me, but I immediately noticed how peaceful it was. I sat for probably an hour without entertainment of some sort, and I just looked out the window and thought about things. It was awesome. We were going to a conference at the Ark. If you don't know what that is, it's a replica of Noah's Ark. And we decided to break the trip up into multiple parts. So halfway up, we were going to stop for the night. After a few more hours of driving and a lot of pages of the Hunger Games, we made it to our first Airbnb. Made it to the farm. There's supposed to be cows behind me, but they all left. So we arrived and unpacked with just enough time for some golden hour photos. I finished the first Hunger Games book on the first day. Turns out I can cover a lot more ground in a book when I'm not constantly distracted by something. Over the next few days, I started noticing a lot of different things about myself and about my surroundings, and that led to a lot of long, drawn-out thought processes and a lot of photos being taken. I noticed that in the car or at the Airbnb, I felt very comfortable without my phone, and I could have good conversations, and my creativity was on a noticeably higher level. When I was in public though, at the Ark and similar places like that, I felt awkward sometimes. Phones are a good way of escape, but if you don't have them, you tend to lose that awkward feeling after a while. Eventually I did lose the awkwardness, and I felt very in place and very observant. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I've done the research and I do share many of the symptoms. But when I didn't have my phone, I felt like I had no symptoms of ADHD. I felt hyper-focused and present in every situation that I came across. We made it back to the Airbnb, and as the sun set on another day without my phone, I looked up from the book and realized how much of the actual sunset I was missing. A book distracted me from that. If something beneficial and imaginative can do that, then it makes sense how all the information and entertainment at our fingertips can pull us out of reality. The week started to get busier, and we were in seminars for most of the mornings and afternoons about the importance of creation and the first 11 chapters of the Bible. I started seeing a lot of details and paying close attention to things. In the seminars, I noticed things like graphic design of other people's books, PowerPoints, and ads, and I noticed other people's photo and video work as well. At the zoo, I started looking for interesting structural designs, textures, and patterns. Stuff that's easy to miss when you have your phone with you. Also started paying attention to people and the way that they talked and moved and interacted with each other. And this opened the door for a lot of opportunities to say something funny or to meet a new person and to just overall make new connections. When the conference ended, I went to visit my cousins. I perform the best creatively when I'm surrounded by other creatively minded people. We got to bounce ideas around and capture the world with 3 very different cameras. I got the Sony A7 IV rolling. Curtis is shooting the
EOS camera, EOS Rebel T8.
It is a camera, in fact. Canon Rebel T8i. And then Silas, wherever he is, has the Rebel XS. Tell us about your camera, Silas.
It's not mine.
Tell us about that camera, Silas.
Pretty cool.
As I planned this video in my head and in my notebook, I started thinking, why even do this experiment? Like, why even make this video? I knew that without a doubt, if I left my phone for a whole vacation, it would benefit me so much. And if it benefits me, then it would probably benefit someone else too, if I captured it well enough. At the beginning of the week, I avoided technology almost entirely. The last part of the trip was unplanned though, so I had a lot more free time, and I missed texting my friends, so I got my computer out to text people a lot more often. I watched some YouTube on my computer, but I still tried to watch things that challenged me creatively.
2025 is going to be an interesting year.
Over the week, I had a lot of time to just sit and think, and I thought a lot of cool things, which is really funny to say. I would analyze stuff, like the reasons behind things and how to fix things, and I had a ton of cool ideas. And a lot of daydreaming too. I think it's so important to give yourself time to think, and it's really crazy to me that we've hit a point in society where we have to do that. After 9 days, we eventually headed back home, and I started thinking about music and how I was excited to listen to it again. I'd gone most of the week without listening to any. I was especially excited to listen to Jacob Collier when I got home. Jacob Collier is one of my biggest inspirations, and over the past few years, he's made 4 intertwined albums, and they are fantastic and chaotic and beautiful. And he ends the 4 albums with one song called World O' World, and it's very peaceful and very calm. Like the peaceful death of one chapter of his life and the giving of life to a whole new one. Over the last few decades, somehow they've made us rely on these phones so much. They gather information on how to control us, and we get entertainment in return. Like we're just some rats in a lab or some pawns in a twisted game. But I don't want to be a part of that game anymore. And we could quit any time, but the part of the game that they've crafted so well is making us think that we need to play. The whole week, I kind of wondered how it was going to be when I got home. If I could stay distant from my phone or if I would fall right back into using it as a crutch for my entertainment. I wondered if I would let it consume my creativity and productivity again. But like any area in life, you got to remember the life that you want to live. You have to take it day by day and remember what's good and strive for that. Little decisions every day, little reminders, little goals. We have to make our own game out of it. Our rules, our game, except the outcome is actually good for us. After a while, we can look back on how much we've grown, how much we've given up to be here, and how much better we are for it. I wanted to go home and remember who I was without my phone, how much fun I had, how my thinking capabilities improved, how much I read, and how free my mind felt. I wanted this week to change me and for it to represent something for me. Kind of like the song at the end of that album. The death of an old version of me and the giving of life to a new one. A new Jake. He hardly uses his phone. He's not controlled by it. It's enjoyable to imagine that kind of life. Easier imagined than done, I guess. But anything hard in life ends up being worth the difficulties. It's hard to make those little daily decisions. It's hard to wake up every day and start a new chapter and start a new game, tossing out your old self and welcoming in a new one. But we can do it. It's an annoying game, and you'll get very tired of it. But like Katniss Everdeen says,
There are much worse games to play.